Hey guys, so it's been a bit. Unfortunately, we had Hurricane Milton and that shit fucked us up. Especially me. We haven't had a chance to meet up because of the hurricane, and also I had my power out, so I was not able to edit or record. So you're going to get all of the episodes kind of back to back to back pretty quickly, all right next to each other. Well, enjoy the rest of the time. Everything else should be back to normal in November. Thank you.
Welcome to the Horror Unmasked podcast,
where we unmask the monsters and explore the lore. I'm Amber.
And I'm Lily. And today we'll be dissecting
Halloween 2018.
Let's
Set the trap. There are two reporters / podcasters who are at Smith's Grove.
Not grave.
Grave.
Not
See?
grave.
I put fucking grave before.
Yeah, but it's not. It's grove.
It's not. It's Grove. Made that mistake. Anyway. And are there to interview and see a patient who has been there for 40 years and hasn't spoken once. Dr. Satarni greets them, and they speak about meeting him before he is transferred to Glass Hill. And the doctor refers to it as the pit of hell. The doctor was a student of Dr. Loomis, and he has taken up the torch after Loomis passed away. They talk about how Loomis referred to the patient as pure evil. The reporters want a closer look to judge his awareness, but the doctor says he's been aware of them since they arrived, and they are warned to not cross the yellow line. The man then brings out Michael's mask, and the other inmates begin to freak out.
And I mean,
Freak out.
Yeah.
Like, the second the mask is pulled out of the bag, the security dogs are barking. The fucking everyone starts hooting and hollering and getting real intense. Like, it's wild. And Michael's just standing there.
Mm-hmm.
They are then in a car and clearly talking about going to see Lori, who has created a compound for herself as a safe zone. As they interview her, they want to ask about her side of the story, but she is not happy with them as they ask her about her failed family situation.
Like, how are you going to go there and then just insult her?
For real. And not expect her to kick your ass out real hard. We then meet what seems to be a simple family, but clearly, as the daughter asks if her mother invited her grandmother to her honor ceremony. But she says she invited her, but clearly she is lying. It is very obvious that she's lying. It's like, yeah, I spoke to her. And I'm just like, no, you didn't. Even I can tell you did not. Clearly, this is Lori's family. Allison,
The
granddaughter, and her friends talk about her grandmother on their way to school. And she meets up with her boyfriend, Cameron.
Ugh. Anyway.
He's okay for 0.5 seconds.
Right. As Allison is in class, she looks out the window to see Lori, her grandmother. You know, a little nod to the first one. Lori tries to give the money that she got from the... Lori tries to give Allison the money that she got from the reporters. Lori wants her to explore life, but as she leaves Allison asks why she won't get over it, and that even if her family hates her, she's glad she prepared her daughter for the horrors of the world.
I mean, you prepared her for a lot more than just the normal horrors of the world, but yeah.
The reporters listened to a tape from Dr. Loomis, and he said Michael should have been terminated in a very permanent way. The hospital is preparing to transfer Michael and Lori is getting prepared as she watches the bus leave, fear clearly still gripping her. We then see the family happy at a dinner together as they are meeting Cameron when Lori shows up but is still upset by Michael. Allison comes to her side as Lori leaves. Karen tells her daughter about how she spent her childhood. We then see a scene of a boy and his dad in the car, who come across a crashed bus with patients walking around. They are both killed by Michael.
For real. I felt so bad, man. That kid just wanted to go to dance.
Yeah, but he shot somebody, so then...
Well, yeah, he's also a kid who was given a gun.
True. Now it's Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
And the reporters are at Judith's grave in Haddonfield.
That was like a tongue twister for you just then.
Yeah. Judith is Michael's sister.
Mm-hmm.
Officer Hawkins realizes what has happened as Michael has escaped. Our reporters are at a gas station when the woman goes to the bathroom and someone else comes in. The male reporter goes exploring and finds multiple dead bodies.
Mm-hmm. Crushed.
While in the bathroom, the woman is attacked, and as her partner comes in, both of them are killed by Michael, and he retrieves his mask from the car. Literally
Broke out, followed them just to get his mask, and murdered everyone on his way. For real. The TV is on, reporting about the bus crash as Lori realizes what has happened. We then see Karen getting home, and at first she thinks someone has gotten into the house when her husband walks in. Then Lori pops out and begins complaining that her home isn't safe. Lori tries to warn her about Michael and the bus crash. Bus crash. Warn her about Michael's bus crashing, but she doesn't listen. We see a montage of Michael killing people when we see Allison and Cameron at a school dance, and she gets a call from a friend about coming over after the dance. Then Allison catches Cameron kissing another girl. And
like, what the fuck, bro?
For real. He's like, I drank, and therefore I...
Kiss other girls.
I'm like, that's not how this works.
You drink and you kiss your girlfriend. How about that?
Or you just don't drink at this party.
In high school.
Yeah. Maybe just find a better thing to do with your life. You know? But... And so Allison leaves. We go back to Vicky and Dave.
Did you even mention who they were?
Nope. They're the ones babysitting who called Allison. Vicky and Dave. But they are interrupted by Julian, the boy they are babysitting, who says someone is in the house when they are both attacked and killed by Michael.
Yep.
We see Lori's listening to the police radio when she turns around, hearing about a disturbance. And Sheriff Hawkins searches the house and finds the girl's body and the boys hanging on a wall. Michael just loves hanging people on walls.
It's his thing.
It's truly his thing. Dr. Satarni is awake and tells them they have to capture Michael. Lori and the police show up to Karen's house, telling them it is not safe. And Lori asks, "Where's Allison?" They try to call her, but she doesn't answer.
That's because Cameron was a dick even more and threw her phone in the pudding.
For real.
Like, what are you doing?
I still would have retrieved my phone. I would have not just left it there.
Right.
Sorry. We see her and her friend walking back. But she ditches him and he gets killed. And when she goes back...
And I mean, like...
For real.
In a gruesome fucking way.
Yeah. Because she goes back and finds him dead, hanging on the fence.
Like mouth on the spike.
Mm-hmm. And she runs off as she sees Michael.
Mikhail.
Spoiler warning. Skip ahead.
As Hawkins and Satarni search for Michael, they find him. Hawkins runs him over, wanting to kill Michael. But Satarni kills Hawkins instead. 'Cause, you know, why not? Satarni retrieves Michael's body and puts him in the car with
Allison in the car.
In order to reunite Michael with Lori. As they get closer to Lori's compound, Allison tries to trick the doctor by getting him to stop the car, but Michael begins to wake up. Kills him, Satarni, and Allison escapes into the woods. There's a moment of calm as the dad sees the cop car show up and goes outside to see if there's any word of Allison when he is killed by Michael.
For real. And deadass, in that car is a jack-o'-lantern head man.
Literally.
Those cops are gone.
Yep.
For real.
Anyway. Finally, Michael and Lori confront each other. First, Michael is getting the upper hand, but Lori is able to blow off some of his fingers with the shotgun. Lori and Karen hide in the special basement that Lori created when Lori goes back up to finish the fight with Michael. The fight goes on, and Michael believes he has gotten rid of Lori by throwing her out of the window and off the roof. Allison finally shows up and calls out to her family, not knowing everything that is going on. Michael hears her call and searches for her, also seeing that Lori is gone. Michael finds all of the girls, but is tricked and shot, falling down the stairs. As the girls escape the house, they set the traps, as the house has always been a trap for Michael, and they set the house ablaze.
The end. This movie was released October 19th, 2018. The director is David Gordon Green.
DGG.
Yeah. Distributed by Universal Pictures. And I have their budget, which was $10 million. What was their box office?
$259.9 million.
Which is not bad.
No.
Not
But
bad
I
for
will
what it
say
was.
as time goes on, that number only gets lower.
Well, yeah. But that's, you know, because after a while, it's for the people and less of anything else. Ooh, I'm burping.
Yeah, because obviously this was like the first like comeback of
Yeah, because
the
it
whole
literally
franchise.
had been fucking forever.
like how many years?
At least, okay. It'd been a long
Like
time.
40 years?
Well, let's correct that. Because there were Halloween films being made. But this is the first time coming back that was comparable with the first two films
Yeah.
created.
Yeah.
So, yes, there was a shit ton of other Halloween films and things like that being made in between. But not the main story representation of them.
Correct. So yeah.
Runtime.
All my ums. Yeah, runtime an hour and 46 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So very long.
These movies are long.
For some reason, I don't know why.
All of them are like an hour 45 piece.
Yeah. Rotten Tomatoes 79%,
Which isn't bad. That's not bad. I'm okay with it being there.
which is kind of crazy to be honest. And the kill count was 17.
Do you think it should be lower?
I mean, again, and I'll keep saying it when it comes to like cult classics and the
Well, these aren't that cult classic. These are newer.
no, I'm talking about cult classic, like the first one.
You're talking
Being
about
made.
the character and its pre-existing notions.
Like obviously I have appreciation for it, but this is not my favorite like series franchise whatever.
Yeah.
Like they're okay.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd ever really watch them again,
And that's fine.
but that's just me.
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
But no, I totally get that. Cult classics are cult classics for a reason. They've got a very specific group of people who became attached to them after.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's why we know these characters and they're like the iconic characters that everybody knows.
Mm-hmm.
It's just sometimes franchises are like, ooh, they're a very popular character. That's a very popular. Now we're going to make 17 more movies.
When you don't really
You don't really need to do that. Like, honestly, like I've said, it's the first 2 and the last 3.
Mm-hmm.
That is the actual, like, story that's happening.
And I think that at a certain point, if you keep making the movies, you're just losing more money.
Kind of, honestly. Like,
Because who's watching 3, 4, 5, whatever?
at the time that they were made. But again, a lot of the other ones are all just kind of one-offs.
Yeah.
There's a lot of one-offs. And that's just the nature of, like, I mean, it's why Friday the 13th even exists, is it's literally just they wanted to run on the hype of everybody else.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's, ooh, slashers, people really like this. Let's run with it. I mean, it's with any genre, even in video games. Jesus Christ.
I mean, I definitely feel like the idea of the Michael Myers character is very good.
Mhm.
How it was executed, in my opinion, I feel like it was a little kind of all over the place because it feels like they couldn't decide whether or not Michael,
was supernatural or not.
supernatural or not, had feelings or not. Like, I feel like they couldn't really stick with a...
Well, for Michael, they've always stuck with him having no feelings.
Because...
At least the Michael that is in the first 2 and the last 3.
But at the same time,
Because he's never had feeling for anybody. In any of them.
which is why I find it so strange with the whole, like, Laurie thing. Because they really wanted to stick and attach that.
Because...
And I feel
but
like
they
that's
did
because of the...
Well, no, they did correct that.
The fan base. Yeah, I know they said it was because of... What,
The doctor.
The doctor.
And also, it wasn't necessarily that he was going after Laurie. It was he just kept staying on his street.
Mm-hmm.
And then he would go back home.
Yeah.
And they just happened to be the ones that were living on that street.
Mm-hmm.
Sort of situation. It's why he killed all the same people in the same houses.
Yeah.
Even though they were totally different people.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I can get where you're coming from, but yeah. At this point, literally in the last several films at this point, like, it's the doctor that reunites him with Laurie.
Mm-hmm.
But after that movie, it's Laurie seeking him out
Yeah.
more than anything else.
Yeah. I just feel like they couldn't really decide, but that's okay. But I understand what you're saying.
Yeah. Yeah.
But definitely with the supernatural thing.
Yeah, that was a big thing is trying to, like, comprehend, because there's no mortal man that would ever survive the amount of shit that Michael's gone through.
No. Not
Like,
at all.
no.
And, like, the way that they aren't exploring that, the way we don't ever get answers, we don't
Yeah. It would be
know why he doesn't speak, we don't know why he killed his sister, we don't know why he does the things he does. And
why
I think,
he made the decisions that he made.
Yeah. And I don't think we're ever going to get answers for that, because I feel like their excuse is always going to be, that just adds to the mystery of him.
Yeah. And I mean, it's the same concept with most of the characters
Yeah.
that are the most iconic creatures. It's just some of them became more popular later
Mm-hmm.
or became popular for different reasons. Because
But,
the it that everybody knows is not the it that you know. You know modern it.
Mm-hmm.
But the one that actually made it was Pennywise.
Yeah. But even with Scream, we got the motives behind it. We understood where Ghostface was coming from
Well, yeah.
and, like, how it evolved, which is part of the reason I think Scream is my favorite, like, franchise.
Which is perfectly fine. I
horror.
like
So good.
Scream is one of my favorites as well.
I think I'll watch it, like, every spooky season.
Yeah, Scream
be
is always
honest.
good. I just, for some reason, latched onto the Michael character.
Mm-hmm. But, like, also with Saw, like, that, those are considered, and you also get to see his reasons behind everything. So I think that's just where I'm kind of
here's the bigger thing. Here's the bigger thing. Saw, we've done Saw. We know that the only one that actually matters is the first one. For a lot of people.
True.
That got the most reaction.
That's
All the rest
true.
of them just slowly went downhill.
Yeah.
But
1 in 10.
Yes, 1 in 10 are
very
great.
good.
It's the same concept. It's the idea that, like, the bigger difference between, I think the reason why Scream is as successful as it is because it didn't have spin-offs. It was Scream 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Yeah.
Like, it didn't have it had a much more concentrated version of what it was, and it's because it had its inspiration and had its view on using Halloween and using other ones to give it its representation.
For sure.
So it totally makes sense.
But things with like Friday the 13th and Halloween, like they went in completely.
Well, here's the thing. Halloween
Or
was
am I talking about
first.
Freddy Krueger?
Halloween, Friday the 13th basically just wanted to milk the slasher cow.
Yeah.
Like, that's the reason why Friday the 13th exists. Is it literally just wanted to milk the reaction from the Freddys and the all of that. Like, that's why. So that was like,
but, like,
the bigger
also what you were
thing.
telling me about like Freddy Krueger and stuff, like all of that, like all of the different,
Yeah.
like Dream Warriors and
Yeah.
all the things like that, where it's like,
Yeah. I mean, even with Halloween, there was a whole other, like, there were even movies that had Laurie Strode in it where she ended up in an asylum and Michael killed her. Like, there's so many different versions and variations of things that it's,
I guess I'm just
you
a
know.
fan of the let's stay consistent and let's get the question of why answered.
and I understand there is no answer to why he is the way that he is. Yes, that would have been very good had we been able to know, but also you have to, the way that I'm also thinking about it is from a true crime perspective. You don't always get that answer.
True.
So I'm you have to kind of switch this into okay, it's okay that we don't get the answer. Now the real problem is that, like, there's this weird supernatural shit going on that's not explained.
Yeah.
Like, if the supernatural shit was explained,
I think
the
better
answer
off,
for
sure.
why he does things is not as we wouldn't worry as much.
Yeah, correct.
Because this man has been shot, stabbed, set on fire,
Blown up, basically.
There's no feasible way that a human would survive that. So, yeah, there's definitely, I completely understand that whole side of it.
Yeah.
But
again, not negating what it did for horror.
Yeah.
Not negating.
But wish there was more information.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I totally get that.
More information for sure. That doesn't necessarily mean more movies. That just means I wish that these movies were done in a way that gave me more information. So.
Because there's a lot of people who do not like Halloween Ends and thinks that it was like a waste.
I actually think that was
because they wanted
the best one out of the whole thing.
But do you want to know why you think that? Because of your exact answer just then.
Yeah.
You have your answers to why he started doing what he did. The difference is in reality, the reason why most people don't like that one is because they felt like it could have just the last two could have just been one film.
Yeah.
Instead of two separate films.
Which, sure, whatever. But
you know.
I feel like I got more substance with that last one. Even though it wasn't about Michael.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's because you got an answer as to why.
I don't know. Otherwise, I go crazy. I like knowing things. Okay, guys?
I'm okay with a little bit of suspension of disbelief.
Well, that's because you are
Well, it's not just that. It's just the reality of the world. Like, too many people get too pissed off about movies not being like books or movies not being like things because
I think they're their own things.
Well, even just in general, like, there are too many people who go see a movie and can't, like, you have to have a suspension of disbelief. Like, you can't go in there being like, well, that doesn't make any sense. And I'm like, it doesn't matter that you don't think it makes any sense. It just watch it and perceive it the way that it was made. You know?
Right.
Some people get a little too uppity in it about it.
But what I was going to say is that you are a true crime girly.
Well, yeah.
And I'm not really as much.
No.
So,
because it gives you nightmares.
Yeah. It does.
Whereas I can fall asleep to it.
I don't like nightmares like that. I like to dream about good, peaceful things.
Are you trying to say that I have nightmares?
No, I'm not saying you have nightmares. I'm saying it gives me nightmares and I'd rather not. So I'd rather not, you know?
It's fascinating that you get nightmares from it.
I don't know. Little night terrors. Not fun.
Fascinating.
Because I like to sleep and, you know, be in a better world than the one I live in. Not saying that it isn't great, but, you know.
Fascinating. Anyway. Yeah. Hop into our cast real quick before we get started.
Faux show. Alrighty. I only have 5 people on here.
I only had 4, so
Okay.
yeah.
Alrighty. Well, technically 6. Alright, we have Jamie Lee Curtis
Hell yes.
as Lori.
I will always love Jamie Lee Curtis.
Mm-hmm.
She's
Agreed.
just a great person.
She's just an icon outside of
Period, yeah.
movies. Andy Matichak as Allison.
Mm-hmm.
James Jew Courtney and Nick Castle
Mm-hmm.
as Michael Myers.
Also pseudo known as The Shape. He's also referred to that in like certain video games where he's referred to as The Shape.
Interesting.
Because in the movie, there's one moment Lori refers to him as I saw the shape. I saw his shape.
Mm.
So I think that's where it comes from because I think it's Dead by Daylight
Yeah.
that he's referred to as the shape in as well.
Interesting. I kind of figured it would be Dead by Daylight.
Yeah.
We also have Dylan Arnold as Cameron
Mm-hmm.
and Judy Greer as Karen.
Alrighty.
Yeah.
All right.
Onto some behind the scenes.
Some notesy. Alrighty. So it's not super intense when it comes to the notes for these films because there is obviously only so much that we can report on. But now, this is kind of like the reboot. This is when they rebooted the Halloween series in order to make it a trilogy. They forgot that it actually was 5 movies technically that make up this set, but you know, whatever. But their biggest thing had to do with the sculpting of the Myers mask.
Mm-hmm.
Because, so they assumed that it was going to be one of the hardest things to make, which you would think it wouldn't be.
Right. Because obviously it's been 40 years. You just slap some more dirt and grossness on it. And
you would think, yeah. And because they think it was going to be a really long process, and yet it turned out not to be. They wanted everything to be the best it could with the context of the story and where they were 40 years following the original.
Mm-hmm.
They wanted to add some character and to balance what they knew about Michael Myers, both for the diehard fans and to satisfy modern audiences. So, for the 2018 Mask, Christopher Allen Nelson and Vincent Van Dyke designed and sculpted it based off of a lot of different things. Both what they thought it should be and what they thought fans would want to see.
Yeah. Also,
yeah.
I don't know if this is like too unrealistic, but if we're going into like the supernatural side of things, I think a rubber mask would fall apart after 40 years.
Yeah. Especially, well,
if it hasn't been preserved correctly.
You want to know what? You'd be fucking surprised.
Would I?
Have you seen? There are some really old Halloween masks from that time period that are still in pretty great fucking condition.
Because they've probably been preserved, right?
People in fucking, they're just in their attics or they're at flea markets just sitting on a shelf.
Okay.
Like, it's, and it's because those things were made of not good materials that were not healthy for human beings. But, hey, they were preserved because of their unhealthy natures.
Gotcha. Because, like, if you take something rubber after a really long time, it's literally like hard plastic and it'll crumble in your hands.
Oh,
so it I don't know.
Oh, yeah. But, yeah, so they basically took a lot of notes from, like, Trancast, Miramax, Blumhouse, Universal, and obviously David, the director. Because ultimately, what it came down to was that they wanted to see, as fans, what was going to work in the context of the film's stories. So they've had 40 years to sit back and to digest the original movie and to analyze The Mask and to stare at it, essentially.
Yeah.
But they didn't have the luxury of doing the same with the 2018 Mask. They didn't have the time to, like, sit and view The Mask.
Why not?
Because the 2018 is new. So they had time to see the old Mask from the original films, which was 40 years ago. Whereas 2018, it's new. So they had to come up with something new that made sense. So they had to be smart about how they designed the mask to progress with the 40-year time frame. So, because they wanted to respect the history was the main thing. So what they came up with was they had one iteration of the mask that was much less worn and discolored. And there was a thought to go way more deteriorated, much like one of the original masks from the 78 film in its current state. But honestly, they didn't think that would work on screen and in the story as much because they were worried that it wouldn't make sense. So they wanted there to be an emotional response in seeing the mask and character beyond just the iconic look. So they didn't want to go into the Rob Zombie territory and to mimic the mask from Wayne Toth that did for that film set. So they went and did a second version of their mask that they were creating, and which was the version you see in the 2018 film. So everyone was pretty much happy with it, and they accepted it and liked it, and they thought that it could work. Because it took 2 attempts. In their minds, they explored many other designs and versions. Some would have worked, but some would not have. But in the end, you have to basically go what's best for the film you are making.
I will say that it's interesting that it took them so much thought and time to process what they wanted it to be like. Because when you're watching the movie, it just kind of feels like, that's the mask.
Yeah, and that's kind of the point.
Yeah, which is definitely the point of it.
Yeah.
But it's like when you're watching it, you're not really thinking of it. It's just like, that's the mask after 40 years.
Yeah.
But like the time and effort it takes to get to that point.
Yeah, for you to be like, that's what it would look like.
Yeah. And not even
think about it.
Yeah.
Not be like, that looks too clean, or that looks too new, or something like that, you know?
Yeah.
So they did quite a good job.
Yeah.
But yeah, they definitely felt like they got lucky because they themselves are huge fans, and so they wanted to approach it like fans. What do I want to see? And so that's kind of how it goes. They also had a shout out and for the director of photography, Michael Simmons, as he knows how to shoot the world that Michael comes from. And especially like when you look at the promotional imagery for the film, it's shot really well. So it definitely gives you this is Michael, but this is Michael now, you know? So I think that was yeah. And this man is getting old too. By the third film, I'm like, Yeah, I'm like, by the third film, I'm just like, how are you still doing what you doing? How you doing it? You're like, what? So, obviously, with the mask having been approved, Nelson then found himself not only overseeing the film's makeup effects in Charleston, South Carolina, but also assuming the role of the ill-fated banh mi sandwich-loving Officer Francis.
Banh mi?
So Nelson was actually one of the cops that died in the cop car.
Damn.
But yeah, so he actually got to like be part of the cast and
That's really awesome.
dabble in acting and
Yay!
but yeah, because I guess they were like, I want you to play a cop in this movie. Because at first he turned it down, but then he's like, come on, it'll be great and real quick. And I have this, and they were like, I have this idea to carve your head into a jack-o'-lantern.
Right.
And they were like, oh, that's cool. It's like, hell yeah. So they definitely were able to have some fun with that. And I think that's pretty cool that like
Having
he
fun
got
is-
to like work on making the stuff and then he got to be killed by his creation.
That's the biggest part. You gotta have fun with this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Otherwise, maybe I would go home with nightmares still.
Yeah. I mean, you have to you need to love what you're doing and enjoy the job that you have,
Yes.
especially when you're working on things like this.
That are
So.
dark and twisted and creepy.
Yeah, you got to have fun with it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you ain't going to make it.
Mm-mm.
But yeah, that was all my notes.
That was it.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, so y'all are gonna get what you're gonna get, and it's what I want to tell you. Okay, enough with the accent. Basically, I'm not gonna give you any lore. We're gonna do something a little different. I was looking and I found a story about a mental patient
Yas.
who escaped
Mm-hmm.
a mental institution.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
And it was very Michael Myers reminiscent. So I was all, you know what? This is what we're going to talk about today.
Fuck yeah. A little true crime.
Yeah. Thank you for
In our
the
episode.
inspiration. Yeah. Kind of a little true crime. Yeah.
Yeah.
Alrighty. So back in 2016.
Ooh, shit. Recent. Not that old.
Yeah. 2016. So like 2 years before this movie came out. Probably around the time they started working on the movie.
Probably.
Um,
That's weirdly perfectly timed, honestly, for this to be where it
That's what
is.
I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Okay. So, a man named Anthony Garver. He was in a mental institution called Western State Hospital.
I thought it was going to be some weird ass name because of that pause.
No, I couldn't find it in the notes. Sorry.
I was like, it's going to be something with a crazy ass name. Nope.
No,
Never mind.
Just Western State Hospital. Located in Seattle, Washington.
Mm-hmm.
So this man, 28 years old, escaped with another man, Mark Alexander Adams, who was 58, and a patient who had been accused of domestic assault and then had just been captured
Gotcha.
and had just fucking escaped.
Great.
Wait. Pardon. He was accused of that in 2014, was captured, escaped a Wednesday night, and then was recaptured Thursday morning.
Gotcha.
So Mark was got immediately almost, but Anthony, that's a different story. Mr. Garver was a known survivalist.
Oh, shit.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I was like, this is kind of Michael Myers reminiscent, because man could literally go
yeah.
and just live in the woods if he wanted to.
For real.
And wink, wink, kind of does.
For real.
Later. But he's a known survivalist and is said to know the area of Spokane County extremely well. So he got on a bus, reports said,
Yeah.
and like went there. The police didn't know if he had a weapon, and they were assuming that he was armed and dangerous. They said that there had been no additional sightings of him, and they're not sure whether he left that area or was still hiding in the woods.
Damn.
So, but he was very comfortable being in the wilderness and was said to be very adaptive to his surroundings, which is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, because he has hidden in the woods before.
Of course.
Yeah. So, what he was charged with, why he was in the cuckoo bin, a few years earlier to this, he tied a 20-year-old woman to her bed.
Okay.
With electrical cords.
Okay.
And then stabbed her 24 times in the chest.
The fuck?
And then slashed her throat.
Jesus.
Yeah. He was charged with murder, but later found mentally incompetent to stand trial, and then he was sent to Western State.
Weird flashback, but it's also making me think about fucking Chucky for some reason.
What about...
Because in one of the movies, it's revealed that the girl who was born disabled, it was because he kidnapped the mom while she was pregnant and stabbed at her.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And I'm just like, holy shit.
Kind of, yeah. Okay, so before an alert went out about his escape, the bus driver who picked him up when he went on the bus thought he saw Garver, and then lots of people claiming they cited him, saying that he was demanding and rude and creeped people out and seemed kind of sketchy, didn't have a bag, didn't have a phone, he seemed really scraggly, scruffy face.
Gotcha.
And then there were cameras showing that he hopped on a Greyhound and went to his mom's house.
You know?
But she called the cops on him. So we love it when moms do that. Then he went to his dad's house, and
yeah,
his dad was all,
the fuck you doing here?
Goodbye. So, all in all, that's just for me to say.
Call the cops on your kids if they do something stupid.
Call the cops on your kids if they do something stupid, for sure. But also, this kind of opened my eyes to how, because when I was looking things up, there were so many different instances of dangerous people escaping mental institutions, escaping prisons, and even this one hospital, the Western State. They said that Garver and Adams were not being held in the most secure part of the hospital, but instead were put in a ward with one of the lowest levels of supervisions, restrained by only locked doors and windows, and they got out through a window. And then it was also said that injured employees at this location missed over 40,000 days of work between 2010 and 2014.
Yeah.
So just based on like the injuries they got on the job.
Yeah.
So the health and safety of the staff, I feel like,
well, just the security of
and the security
watching inmates. Like,
yeah,
I'm sorry, they're not in there for like shits and giggles.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they're there because they did something bad and need to be watched and maintained.
This isn't stuff that happened in the 70s or in the 80s. This was 8 years ago.
Yeah.
And so it probably hasn't changed that much, and things are probably still going on like that. And that's just for me to say, I think that there can be a much better job when it comes to protecting the people that work in institutions like these, because not only are they helping the people who reside there, but they're also helping people outside, making sure that, you know,
increasing security in these places and being more aware of like protection of other individuals.
Yeah, and keeping people on the outside safe as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so many different stories like that. It's nuts. If you want to know more, look it up. I don't want nightmares though. Thanks. And then I have one gigantic 1-star basically.
Jesus, okay.
Here we go. It might be the top grossing film from the past weekend, but it was the worst installment in the franchise. I was willing to play along with the whole we're hitting the reset button and pretending Halloween 2 through Halloween Resurrection never happened. But the filmmakers totally let me down. I'm baffled by the fact this was produced by Jamie Lee Curtis and John Carpenter. What?
Also, correction, you are already wrong. It would be from the third one.
Yeah.
To resurrect, because the first two are part of the story, but whatever.
Yeah. True. Because, like, even in this first one, she's again just laying in a hospital bed for most of the time, which is a nod to the second one.
Yeah.
This film felt like not just an insult to the franchise, but an insult to the genre as a whole. I still can't tell you who the main character was. Maybe Jamie Lee Curtis? Maybe Judy Greer? Why was she even in this film? Maybe the granddaughter? The script was like they took 3 different scripts and a whole bunch of catchphrases and just threw them into a blender. I will say I'm not really sure about the Judy Greer part. Like, I've seen her in lots of things, but I can't get behind her acting.
And asking who the main character was, personally, I would say it was Allison, and then Laurie.
Yeah, I agree. I'm mostly upset with the other horror buffs in my newsfeed who have posted about seeing this film not once, not twice, but 3 times. I'm seriously baffled by the fact you think this is quality filmmaking. I've taken film classes with some of you. This goes against everything we were taught and is an insult to our degrees.
Just because you took film classes does not suddenly make you a filmmaker.
Facts.
Sorry.
Facts. As fuck.
Sorry. You're like, I took film classes.
You took classes. That doesn't mean you've done shit.
Was your degree in filmmaking? Have you made films? Just because you make films your way does not mean that everybody has to make films the way you make them.
Yeah. Anyway, apparently they want to say, shame on John Carpenter, shame on Jamie Lee Curtis, and shame on you for making me believe that they were successfully resurrecting The Shape for one final installment. Horror and movie buffs beware. This is a terrible example of what a film should and could be. Wah, wah, wah.
Yeah, for real. Like, I don't know, go make your own. Oh, but then you'll just end up in the list of all the other random shit that's been made. So, you know. Oh, well. So sad.
I mean, I'm not going to lie to you. If it weren't Michael Myers and it weren't Halloween, I don't think people really would have watched it or really cared about it, though. And if it weren't Jamie Lee Curtis. But that's how I think. I don't know about everybody else. But that's also because I had never really seen the Halloween movies until recently.
Yeah.
It wasn't something I grew up with. It wasn't something I am a diehard fan of.
Same. I'm not necessarily a diehard fan. I've just enjoyed the idea of the characters and things like that. Like, you know.
I know you love Michael, but yeah. I'm not sure if you've ever said that these are some of your favorites.
No.
Yeah.
I enjoy them. They're not my favorites.
What would you say is?
I mean, I did just buy 2 Scream shirts.
That's very, very true. I know Ghostface is your boy.
Yeah, Ghostface is my boy. I love him.
I mean, same girl.
Like,
same.
They did really well with the stories.
They did so good.
I just enjoy, like, the Laurie Michael story of everything that was going on, because especially it's more concentrated in the first 2 films. In the last 3, it's more about like revenge and finishing things.
Yeah.
So, but because technically that third movie, if nothing happened, it would have just been done.
Basically.
So, but it's one of those situations where it's like, you know, they wanted there to be a resolute finish to the character and to the monster, you know? So, but yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. But yeah, that's it.
That was that one.
Obviously, our next one is Halloween Kills.
We're halfway through, guys.
Hell yeah, hell yeah.
The month of October.
We only have a little bit left of October.
And just a couple more weeks of HHN.
Yeah, for real, for real. Almost done, my guys. Almost done.
So wild.
Yeah. And again, sorry about the, all the chaos. I mean, there's only so much I can do about a hurricane.
Yeah. And I don't think it's going to kill you guys that we are a week or two late.
Yeah. It's all good. It's all good.
Much love. Hope you guys stayed safe too.
Yeah, for real. A lot of people I follow, for some reason, they're all in Florida, and a lot of them were like, I gotta get out.
Yeah.
I gotta find somewhere else to be for safety.
Yep.
Like, for the most part, we got lucky.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah. Anyway, remember, like, comment, subscribe, follow us on the things. Remember, if you have any movie suggestions, send us an email at horrorunmasked@gmail.com. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter at horrorunmasked. Listen to us on Spotify, iTunes, Amazon Music, Audible, Pandora, and YouTube at Horror Unmasked Podcast. And I think with that,
there's only one thing left to ask. Will you fear?
Or will you fear not?